Right, there we go. Andrew, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we are continuing from last week where we spoke about how do we make ourselves feel good about ourselves. And now, how do we transfer that to other people? So, I want to share a story that actually resonated with me from a funeral service that I conducted in 2009 and share with you just how important it is to understand how valuable we are and how we have the ability to really affect change in people's lives. The story came from the deceased person, in fact, and it was part of the latter journey of his life that got shared with me at his memorial service. So that's what I want to share with as a bit of a foundation and continuation from last week, and get us to understand that we are really in a position to create a radical change. So if you are ready for me to go ahead, then let me go.
Yes, he did. He did. The people wants to hear. How are we going to change the world? How do we take over the world?
Am I the brain or are you the brain? Who's Pinky here?
I don't care as long as we get the message through.
Okay, awesome. So in 2009, November 2009, it was a Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I had the privilege of conducting a memorial service for this particular gentleman in Krugersdorp at the Martin's Funeral Homes. And it was a very unusual service because there were only 3 people in attendance. The gentleman was 86 years old. One would think that maybe there would have been a few more people around to enjoy and celebrate his life. But the 3 people in attendance were his daughter, his son-in-law, and his grandson. And so with the nature of the service being a little different from what I'm used to, I just pulled up a chair and I sat with him and I said, tell me the story of your dad's life. I want to hear about the footprints that he carved out and the legacy that he left behind. And so she began to recount the story of her dad's life and how he had met mom at a very young age in Cyprus, and they got married in their late teens and then decided to move to South Africa. And they settled in Jeppiestown, just outside Johannesburg, and they lived in the same house their entire lives in Jeppiestown. And for those of you that know a bit of South Africa and the history of South Africa and Johannesburg, you will know a little bit about that area. And over time, obviously, there was a lot of degradation in the area, and it became really sort of, I wouldn't say war torn, but overrun with criminality and drugs and things like that. And so life became a bit of a challenge in the community, and they'd obviously aged. And so they couldn't really move. But he passed away at 86 years old, and the daughter is now sharing her story. Mom and dad moved to South Africa, bought the house, settled there. As typical Greeks, they just lived their lives as part of a community and for each other. Mom loved feeding everybody and always made sure that there was food in and around the house. Dad loved entertaining the local kids and played football with them and things like that. And she carries on sharing the story, and she was an only child. And then she says, but 20 years ago, mom passed away. And when mom passed away, dad found love. And I said to her, whoa, hang on a minute. What does that mean? You know, us pastors, we're not the sharpest crayons in the box. What do you mean dad found love? Was there another woman? You know, what's the story here? She says, no. Maybe it was not the right way to word it. But when mom was gone, dad fully understood the impact of the love that he had for his wife and that she had for him, and how they had almost lived their lives like a hand in a glove. And he said to his daughter, I need to do something to show this love and understand, you know, the legacy that your mom has left behind. So he took it upon himself to get up every morning, go into his kitchen, and to start preparing sandwiches. And he made trays and trays of sandwiches that he then went and stood at the end of his gate, at the end of the garden, and he fed the children on their way home from school every afternoon. Now, the daughter said to me that, this is a phase, it'll pass, it can't be continued for too long, maybe a week or 2 weeks. This went on for 20 years. For 20 years without fail, every morning he got up, he went into his kitchen, he made sandwiches, and he stood at the end of his garden every afternoon when the school bell rang, and he fed those children on their way home from school. Now, as I mentioned a little bit about Jeppystown, it's a broken community. And very often in a community like that, money is spent on everything other than food, like drugs and alcohol and feeding addictions and stuff like that. So for some of those children, it might have been the only meal they would have had that day. And this gentleman took it upon himself to share and to give love. And essentially, he was impacting those kids' lives in a way that we would never actually be able to measure. Every single day, without fail, some of those kids had something to eat because of him. The daughter said to me, as fast as they would bring the groceries in the front door, he would pass them out the back door. But this was his mission. And where did it come from? It came from a place of loss, actually. It took him losing his wife, his dearly beloved, the love of his life, the one that he had grown up with, the woman he committed himself to in his late teens and moved to South Africa with. It took him a great loss to understand the fullness of his value in life. And it was a value that she had instilled in him in the journey of her life, in expressing and showing love. So in that loss, he became strong. And he found the fullness of the footprint of love in the legacy of her life. And he continued to serve in that community in this radical way with some sandwiches each and every single day. Now, the story touched me in a big way. And when I share at most of the funeral services that I do, I talk about the footprints of our lives and how the footprints are the legacy that we carve out in each and every day in our journey. And when the story was shared with me, it was like it really hit home because I'd been sharing the message of footprints for about 3 or 4 years before that. And this was just like, wow, okay, almost an answer from God to show me that you're talking sense, So we shared a little bit more, and obviously I ended off the funeral service with the formalities that needed to take place. And after the service, I said to her, look, please keep in touch. Let me know if you need anything or if there's anything I can do. I would love to even hear more about Dad and his life and everything. But I was still amazed that there were only 3 people in attendance at the service that day. So that was a Thursday afternoon, and we said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. And very often I never ever hear anything from any of these people that I've encountered in these situations. But on Monday morning, I got a phone call from the daughter. And she was in tears on the other end of the line. And she said to me, Andrew, you're never going to believe it. And I said to me, please don't tell me Dad's come back from the grave and he's standing at the end of the garden feeding the kids. I mean, I believe it could happen. She said, no, it's not quite that drastic. It would have been awesome. But anyway, she said, no, on Saturday morning, the children of Jeppystown arranged a memorial service for my father. They had it in the Jeppy Town Hall, and every person that attended the service brought with them a loaf of bread, and they made sandwiches and served each other. There were over 370 people in attendance at that service on Saturday morning. Now, if his life didn't impact those lives, then I don't know what did. For some of those kids, they shared their first sandwich with him on their first day of grade 1 on their way to school or way home from school. And they probably shared a sandwich with him 12, 13, 14, 15 years later when they finally finished matric and they were on their way home from school. I think he had more impact in their lives than their own parents. I think he was the first one to see their report cards. I think he was the first one to hear the stories of the things that went wrong at school or went right at school. I think he impacted lives in such a way that he shaped these kids and changed the direction of the course of their lives. And how did he do it? With 2 slices of bread and a little bit of butter. And it really, really hit home with me. And as we spoke about last week, it has to start with us. It has to start with us making that decision that we are going to build in ourselves. You cannot pour from an empty cup. We always say that. You cannot. It's impossible. What are you going to pour? All right. And it took him, like I said, a great loss before he realized the fullness of the value of his life. But it was a gift given to him by his wife. And in her death, can you imagine the thousands of lives that he actually impacted? What happens if his wife hadn't passed away? What happens if he had passed before her? But it was for some godly reason that she had to return home first before him. And in him being left behind, in 20 years, he laid down a foundation for massive, massive impact. And maybe out of those, the thousands of lives that he touched, only 4 or 5 or 6 went on to radically change their lives. But he did something so significant with 2 slices of bread and a little bit of butter. And like I said last week, you don't have to win the lottery. You don't have to be richer or poorer, thinner or fatter, older or younger to start making a difference. It can start right now with a change of mindset, a change of heart, and an understanding that you have something to give. Now, we also have to be wise in the way that we do things and in the way that we give of ourselves. I mean, if you left home in the morning and you had to give 5 Rand or 10 Rand to every person standing at the traffic light, to be bankrupt by the end of the week. So you got to really be wise in this. And I think he was planted in the perfect situation in that community to be a beacon of hope or beacon of light, beacon of life to some of those kids and to those families. So I think, I always reflect on that story and I think, what can we do? What more can we do? And it's not about how big, it's about when and where. Like I said, it's 2 slices of bread and a little bit of butter. And what an incredible footprint he has carved out. A footprint of love, a footprint of humility and servanthood and grace and compassion and mercy, maybe even forgiveness. Maybe some of the kids gave him a hard time, but he did it. And like the daughter said, they thought it was a phase. It was just going to pass, but it didn't. It lasted 20 years without fail. You and I have the ability to do exactly the same thing, even more. We just have to choose. And don't let it get to a point in your life where you have to experience a great loss before you make that decision. Start today. And that's all I have to share.
All right, we'll give Andrew half a minute to catch his breath. I ask that you bring your gratitude jars, but some people don't read messages this time of the day. Is my video on? Mine is on. Yeah, there's my gratitude jar. It's getting full now. I must maybe put a lid on. There's space for about a week. Who brought their gratitude jars so that we can have a look at them? Are they filling up? Andrew, where's yours?
Not with me.
Scary, scary, scary. Carmen, you got your hand up?
I bought mine, Stefan. Hold on, I just want to put my video on. And turn it around. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to turn the video around.
Put the bottle or the jar in front of your face. Yeah, there we go. Now we can see it.
I want to show you inside.
How many papers in there?
We're filling up nicely now. Oh, can't see there.
Good, good. Different color
Filling
papers,
up
blues
nicely.
and greens and yellows.
Yes.
I've got blues, yellows, and purples. Who else brought the gratitude jars? Show us so that we can see. Only Carmen. People, get yourself a jar, pieces of paper, and start filling them up. We want to see what you collect. Be grateful for a lot of things. Christina, I forgot hers on the farm. Andrew, are you ready for a few questions?
Yeah.
People, if you got any questions for Andrew, he spoke some very wise words, simple gifts. Simple gives 2 slices of bread and a little bit of butter.
The only thing you never put on
Thanks.
that bread is that sandwich bread stuff. You
Yeah,
can't
no,
feed
you
that
don't
stuff
want that
to
on bread.
children.
No,
No, you can't
no.
give that stuff to children. No. That's
You
like a
don't give
curse.
that stuff
Yeah,
to a child.
no.
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
My mother made very nice sandwiches with bologna and tomatoes, about half a loaf every day, because she knew I'm giving it away at school. It was magic. You don't have to go all exotic and things, but no sandwich spread, never. No, that is
Yeah.
scary. Anybody got any questions? With 28 people on here, I'm dead sure somebody got a question for Andrew. Andrew, you
Yes.
speak too well. There's no questions.
Well, that's good.
I'll have to point somebody. Who's our victim today? Let's scroll down and see where we stop. Karen Nietling. I am sure you've got a question for Andrew.
Hi, Stefan. Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
No, not at this moment, but I love listening to you and the love that you show and in the stories you tell. It's amazing. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, Andrew tells it so that we can understand what's going on. I've seen people with good messages in my life, very good messages, but the way that they transfer their knowledge and their experience is not cooperating, and then the message get lost somewhere in the words. Andrew brings it plain and simple. Simple gifts, solid truths. Who is the next person? Lizelle, you talk so much on the phone and now you're dead quiet on a Zoom call. Thornton, is Lizelle with you?
Ek is hierso. I don't speak a lot. I like listening. And Andrew, wow, your story touched me. Just a little other story. My friend, one of my best friends, she makes macaroni and cheese for Jesus, please. So she delivers 9 every week. And it's for women making a difference. And I must just tell you how amazing it is that she actually drops off the food on the road by people that have nothing, and it costs her 190 a month. So, and she does it every week. I'm just so awesomely proud of her that I also want to do that soon. I'm sure soon we'll manage to do things like that.
Yeah, things is going to change for you. You know that.
Oh,
And then
no,
you can do
we
the
know.
same.
Oh, we know. We there. We there.
That's good. Okay, Andrew, I'm going to put out a challenge to a few people. I'm actually going to nominate 5 people. And who's going to do the writing? Who's going to keep notes for me? Ilana, get a piece of paper for us and a pen. Write down the names that I'm going to read out to you. Are you ready?
Just a sec.
I am going to challenge 5 people on the call to somewhere in the next
Ready?
7 days. Think about 5 people think about one simple gift that you're going to put out to the world. One simple gift that you can share with the world.
Okay, I'm ready
All
to
right.
write.
Yeah, I'm going to scroll down and start at the bottom. Let's make it 10. I like it to be difficult. Geraldine. And you must bring this paper for next week call so that we can see what's going on. Geraldine is the first one. Zelda. Thornton, not Lizelle. Thornton. Jonathan must do it on his own. Raquel is number 4. Michaela is 5. I talk enough with Mary. She don't have to do anything. Margarita Weppener is number 6. Joy is number 7. Emma is number 8. Benjamin is number 9. And Anthony is number 10. That's the 10 people. You've got a week to think what simple gift you want to go out to take to the world. And the next week you can tell us about that. I think that's a good challenge, Andrew. Can I put your name on as well? But you give away so much, you don't even have to be listed.
Very good challenge. But also remember, we don't have to be that gentleman. We have to be ourselves. And sometimes it's just being obedient. I remember sharing with a missionary friend of mine, and he was telling me how he'd been sort of wrestling with God and quite frustrated with where he was at in his walk with God. And on his way home one night, he was just praying and saying, God, I just need to hear your voice clearly. I need to hear you clearly. I'm struggling in my walk. I'm just losing faith. And in his spirit, he got a message to stop and buy baby formula and nappies. Now, he's never been married, has no kids. What on earth is he going to stop and buy baby formula and nappies for? But he felt this so strongly in his spirit, and he stopped at the local garage and he bought a packet of nappies and a tin of baby formula. This is in the States, so they do sell things like that at their garages. And on the way home, he got a direction in his spirit, and it was totally out of his way. It wasn't exactly on his way home. And he stopped outside this apartment block, and he had a number in his head. And he got out and he walked to the door of the apartment that he had the number of. And he knocked on the door, and a young single mother opened the door in tears. And he said, I have baby formula and nappies, and I've been told to bring it to this address. And she gave him a hug, and she was totally beside herself. And she said, I've been praying for 3 days because I've had no money. I've got no income. I'm raising this child on my own. And I just kept on praying and just said, God, I need nappies and I need formula. I don't care about myself. Just need to look after my son. And this guy answered that call. So do we all have to feed all the kids in the community? No. We just have to be obedient. So those of you who have that challenge, take time. As Stefan says, find your rock, go sit on the rock, be quiet, and see what it is that you can do. Be wise in where you sow and how you sow. Make sure that when you are sowing, you're not just scattering the seed and it just falls in dry soil and just gets picked up by the birds. Be wise. There's someone in your community, there's someone in your life, there's someone in your friend circle, there's somebody that needs to see a smile, that needs an embrace, that just needs you to listen. And simple gifts. It doesn't have to cost you anything, maybe just some time, but be available and realize, like we said, it's about pouring from that heart of love and from a place of fullness within yourself.
The challenge is, I'm going to give you a hint. The challenge is not the gift, the simple gift that you want to put out into the world. I'm going to ask you next week, so I'll prepare you a little bit better than Andrew. The challenge will be to tell me how did you come to the conclusion that that is the right gift to take out to the world. So let's think about it. Sometimes it's a very simple thing. A very, very simple thing. Right, if there's anybody that wants to say something more or want to ask Andrew something before we close, we've got an 8 o'clock general call. Andrew looks tired. Maybe he needs to go rest for a few minutes.
Need to have my dinner.
Yeah, you must have dinner. I eat dinner at 5 o'clock, then I know it's finished. Right, if there's nobody else with questions, let's unmute ourselves and shout bye so I can end the recording. I'll post on YouTube, just a quick note. I've opened my YouTube channel for the general public. I think we're 154 on now. All the videos will be posted there that I record now. I'm not going to post all the old ones. Training videos, I think I posted one, but all the calls in future will be posted there. Just a small note. If this thing grows a little bit, there's some income that we can make from the YouTube channel, which obviously will go back to profiles and things that we can sponsor in. When you open a video, don't close it. Keep it open, let it finish so that the viewing time can add up. If you watch 4 minutes and stop the video, it counts as 4 minutes. If you can let it play till it's finished, it counts for all the minutes that's on. I need 4,000 viewing hours in 12 months. Then we get advertising income, which we can use for profiles to sponsor people in. That's how easy it is to make money. A lot of people contacted me this week asking, how do I make extra money? There's one way. We can make money from the YouTube channel and sponsor people in that needs a profile that at this stage don't have their $100 ready. Easy as that. Right, unmute and shout bye. I'll see you guys at 8 o'clock again.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you at 8.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
everybody.
Cheers all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Andrew. Bye.